Bluff Planning Commission, order. Mr. Jeff, would you call the roll, please, sir?
Yes, sir. Raymond Albert.
Present.
Debbie Brewer.
Present.
Liz Littleton.
Here.
Connie Reed.
Here.
Linda Hayes is absent.
Okay, guess everybody's had time to look over the minutes of the July 19th regular meeting. Do I hear a motion on that?
Make a motion to approve the
I have a
July
motion.
9th.
I hear a second.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, minutes approved. All right. Now to consider the rezoning of the following four adjoining lots in the corner of White Bluff Road and Jordan Circle.
Mr. Chairman, before there, we have a public hearing right up above that.
Okay. Public hearing, of the main Form 3, Parsons White Bluff subdivision regulations. Anyone here to speak to that? Ms. Jeff?
Does anyone want to speak? It doesn't look like it, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We'll close the public hearing. Now then, we consider the rezoning of four lots adjacent to the corner of White Bluff Road and Jordan Circle. Ms. Belmar, that's you.
Mr. Chairman and Commission, I was here for the work session. I did prepare kind of a sketch on the map of what we would propose based on the work session is to eliminate parcel 9.42 and absorb that into the other three parcels. The red lines on the map would show approximate location of the new property lines. They'll be adjusted to make sure that each parcel is at least 1,700 square feet and meets the minimum 85 feet width at the building setback to fit under R2 zoning. There is some provisions in the zoning ordinance related to how these situations would be handled. One may be a variance, which we'd rather get it rezoned and comply with the zoning ordinance. So that would be our request, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Now, I have questions on this.
Yes, sir.
I passed by here, I passed by this place this morning.
Yes, sir.
There's a house here, and I don't see four lots.
Yes, sir.
We go and tear the house down and...
So the house is fully contained on lot number 40, so on that corner lot there. So the plan at this point would be to develop lots 38 and 39 and leave 40 as it sits. Get the rest of the useful life out of that structure. And then there's also a garage on the 9.42. That garage would go onto the 40 lot when it got extended back to absorb 9.42. That lot would stay associated with 40. And so if you go out there, there was a swimming pool on lot 39 before, so you can kind of see where that was at, the swimming pool. And then lot 38 was a fully wooded lot before, you can see where that was cut. So that's the current, the 9.42 is a little bitty narrow lot right where that garage sits and then goes back into woods some distance. So that's what's over there now.
And what are you planning to go with the 9.42?
Absorbing it into the other two lots. So that blue line on the map would be eliminated, and then the red lines would be the new lot lines. So they would extend all the way to Mr. T-Loft's property line, and so it would eliminate 9.42 as a lot of record. So you take 4 lots of record and make 3 out of them.
Okay. Ms. Amanda, do you have any comments on that one?
I do, and thank you for bringing an updated exhibit to better illustrate your plans. as we discussed in the work session, there were two immediate challenges or issues surrounding the rezoning request. The first was that none of the parcels that were in question were really compliant with the R1, and certainly not the R2 zoning designation that were being sought. The fact that the applicant is demonstrating an intent to do some consolidation, really to help bring some non-conforming lots into conformance is helpful. It eliminates that 9.42, which has only an accessory structure that's functioning basically as a principal structure, which just over time has ended up becoming that. So all of that is very helpful, and it does make a non-conforming situation more conforming. So that in itself is very helpful. As was also stated, though, there's still the challenge of the fact that there's no other R1 in the, R2 in the immediate vicinity. Now, there is on my, on the illustration that's with my staff report, there are two parcels that are down, I think, about 1,500 feet away towards the bottom of the cul-de-sac that are zoned R2. I believe they're also under similar ownership and have some similar development plans. But again, that's still kind of an outstanding challenge to rezoning. So strictly from a planning perspective, that is the primary challenge. If this board were inclined to recommend a rezoning, I would suggest that it be contingent upon the reconfiguration of the lots as the applicant has presented with this application today.
Okay, you want that?
Mr. Chairman, again, this is a recommendation by this body, so it's going to go to council either way. The planner has brought up a zoning consideration, no R2 in the area, but this is cleaning up an issue, so I think you can take that into account. And I think, just to put a finer point on it, I think the applicant's offering a self-imposed condition, so whether y'all do it that way or as a contingency, I'm fine either way. But he's presented with what he plans on doing, so I think the rezoning would need to be either with the self-imposed condition or conditioned upon by this body and the council converting these 4 lots into those 3 lots so that they're compliant. Just make that part of your motion either way.
Okay, Connie?
I don't have any questions. I get what he's trying to do with it. I'm going to make a motion that we recommend it favorably up to the council, and let me see if I can get this right, with the contingency that with the self-imposed restrictions by the applicant to be considered in there.
All right. Everybody hear the motion? I hear a second on the...
I'll second.
Pardon?
I'll second.
The second. All right, discussion on it, Lawrence.
You're gonna have the required foot frontage on the lot.
Do what?
You're gonna have the required.
Yes, I'm sorry, I failed to include that in my report. With the consolidation as presented, the new proposed lots would exceed the 17,000 square feet.
Anyone else have anything to say?
I know that we had a kind of similar but not similar thing come up just a couple months ago, but the difference, and I was opposed to that, but the difference here is that was commercial to residential. This is residential to residential.
more comments? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Looks like the ayes have it, it'll be recommended to the city council.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, move forward to consider rezoning of the following two lots adjoining to the circle drive between the gas station and interstate, intersection of Highway 70 and White Bluff Road. Map 096J, Group A, partial 002 and 001. Mr. Kenny Crankville.
Thank you.
Would, tell us what you'd like to have.
So we are requesting the rezoning of 109 Circle Drive and 115 Circle Drive to R3 zoning. First of all, we were never made aware that it was zone commercial. I've been on the deed since 2008, and I was never notified. There were never any signage posted. And I've requested, but no one seems to know when it was changed. So I believe someone said that we had to request it back then. Well, we never made that request. So I don't know how it became commercial. So that's one of the questions I have. As far as going from commercial back to R3, you know, we were kind of shocked when we found out that it had been changed to commercial. We had plans to, you know, do some residential things on it, only to be told that we couldn't. We now have kind of looked into the commercial zoning portion. I have someone that's, you know, outside of here and also a local both real estate person and developer, and they said we can't do anything with the commercial because you're landlocked. We have known the Williamses for all our life. You know, I grew up there, so, and they have stated publicly that they're never going to do anything with the land except hold on to it. So everything behind the store, everything around us is locked, and so that road is the only access, which is right now often blocked to where my father can't even get into his home, and he currently lives there. So it's commercially, as far as the purpose for rezoning it commercial, it will not stand up to the standards of, you know, making certain that there's sufficient access and not creating congestion. So we're just asking, you know, for it to be rezoned to R3 so that it can be used for some type of purpose that will both benefit the city of White Bluff and, you know, be fair and equitable to us as well.
Mr. Manning, do you have any comments on that one?
As we discussed at work session, and you can.
I'm sorry, I was out of town. I'm sorry, I
okay.
was out of town.
No.
So I'm not as prepared as Mr. Bellhurst.
No, that's okay, and you'll hear the spiel here. This is a really tough one. It's a really tough one. And for the benefit, I'll go over it again for the benefit of everybody that's here. There's a wide mix of zoning in this area, and as you stated, you know, you've got R1 to the east, you've got commercial where you are, you have industrial to the west, you've got a school, you've got a gas station, you've got all sorts of things going on in that area. You do have limited access. I mean, that's very apparent. That could make it very challenging for a commercial development. It's a very different kind of request than the one that came right before you. It's not uniform in nature by any means. The uses in that area are by far non-uniform. So this really lends itself to a broader discussion of what does the town want to see in that area. You make a very compelling argument that, you've got a gas station right there, you have very limited access that, Circle Drive doesn't really circle. It doesn't really circle. I've gone out there several times myself, not only to fill up, but just to kind of sit and watch. Almost got taken out with it.
Right.
It's like, which, makes me kind of wonder if, residential would be the best use out there, but then again, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. But strictly from a zoning perspective, again, this is one of those where there is nothing else around the property, so from a strictly zoning perspective, I would have to go, there's no R3 around it. However, all of the arguments that you make are compelling, and this board should take that into consideration in making that recommendation up to the town council.
Mind if I add something? The existing property, as I said, that my father lives on, because of the zoning, it basically lends us to no other choice except to continue to make it residential. Because we're not going to be able to do anything with it. I can't speak for the neighbors to the left of us. I know they have been there as long as we have. So I can't speak to what their family, lineage tends to be leaning toward doing that. And we're not, I am completely understanding what you're saying. I would be even open to industrial if that would fit in the city plan better. Because I do believe, there's something in that arena that the city would benefit as well, would not, hurt basically my father's entire life, his investment. So we're not saying that it has to be, we just know it can't be commercial. We're stuck, and it would not benefit the city being commercial either.
So here's what I would say to that, just for the benefit of anybody who may be listening here. So the Planning Commission doesn't have broad discretion when they're making recommendations. So their recommendation is based on a very limited number of factors. That can be really tricky for some people who don't operate in this world 24/7, 365, like yours truly here. But when it gets up to the board, to the town council, they have much broader discretion.
Okay.
Because they look at things from with a much wider angle. They look at things from a much broader, like I said, much broader angle.
Okay.
Brush stroke, whatever terminology works. They take into account, schooling there. I would not advise at this moment in time to change your trajectory of the residential request. I would see this request through to the end and see where that goes. Far be it from me to substitute my judgment for any of the governing bodies here, but I think just from past history that a residential designation may fare a little bit better in this climate than an industrial would. I think there's a greater need, but that would also require you having to start all over again.
Correct.
So you've gone this far.
And that would be our desire. Our intention was, much like David Alsabrook's complex there, to have 55 and older, something that would give them access to even walkable, access to stores and things like that. It would be quiet and calm right there in town. So that was what we were looking at. And again, because the house is still standing, it's still functional as it is, it would continue that until potentially being moved or converted into a multifamily itself.
And any kind of development, would have to come back to this body. If it was commercial, if it was a gas station or anything like that, it would need to come back here. If it was a smaller senior housing type thing, it would need to come back here. So this would not be just a carte blanche either way. So there would still be further levels of scrutiny.
Does this, and the reason I'm saying this is, I'm not opposed to making it residential because I see why it can't, but R3 and there's no real access. Does it meet the standards for R2?
So R2 is 17,000 square feet. I had very well versed in R2. I haven't studied it really for R2. I mean, R3 is 8,000. I would imagine so. But I don't know that that would fit with the intent of what the applicant is seeking.
So what we had looked at for a 2-unit duplex, it would take 0.55 acres, which there would only be room, even including the house lot, for 2 units, or 4 units, which would be 4 duplexes. So I don't know that because the house will not be touched until something needs to be done with it, which again, we'd have to come and request. It would only make it where at maximum there would be possibly 8 residents, potentially if there were 2 in each 116, with a parking spot for each home and an extra. So you're looking at 20 cars max, let's just say that would have parking spaces there. And there is one entrance as you come through the red light at the corner of 109 Circle, which would go into the property and into the duplexes. Are you tracking what I'm saying? And I apologize, I don't have a diagram.
I know exactly what you're saying. That's the one thing that concerns me is access.
Well, so, and I'm very encouraged that you're thinking that way, but at this point in time, we just need to be, I think, focusing just on the rezoning portion of it. And I don't want to stray too far out of my lane. But I think the question before you at this point, at this exact moment in time, is just whether or not you want to recommend up to your town council.
Well, I think either way it's going to go up. It's just whether we want to say yes or no. We recommend it favorably.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, just real quick, I wanted to clarify, you are asking for both lots to be rezoned, correct? And on the survey, it said Jeff Lovell was the owner of Lot 1, but the records show it's you.
Correct.
For the small lot, and then you as trustee for the large lot. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, we're both on the deed,
Gotcha.
my father and I.
Well, I guess the trust on the deed.
The trustee on the deed, yeah.
And then you don't have any current plans to recombine. You're just asking for these 2 independent lots next to each other to be rezoned R3.
Correct. He will continue to live there as long as he's.
Sure.
Yeah.
Something could happen in the future, but right now,
Right,
your
exactly.
intention
Our intention.
is to stay in the house. And just to clarify a comment you made when you were talking about duplexes in R3, you mentioned, I guess, 8 maybe, or a duplex taking up 0.55 acres.
Two duplexes, so 4 units, 2 duplexes.
Yeah, I
Correct.
thought I heard
No.
4 duplexes, 8 units.
What we were talking about if both were, because the house is on 0.42, I believe, and so that leaves right at an acre. So actually, probably only 3 duplexes
Right.
with 6 units.
Yeah, so there'll be 6 units on this. Okay. Yeah.
Which should not cause the congestion, that was kind of my point.
Yeah, and just to reiterate what Amanda said, y'all are making a recommendation. You of course can look at what's possible, but it's just a recommendation given the I'm not gonna say chaotic nature of the zoning in that area, but the multiple zonings in that area, y'all are just making a recommendation up or down today.
Yeah, I don't even like the idea of industrial, that,
I don't either, but, you know, we're dead in the water, and that, you know, honestly, that kind of comes back to the city too, because it does you guys no good if it's dead in the water, so.
You got any more comment?
I don't, thank you.
If I want to make a motion one way or the other.
I'll make a motion to recommend it up to the council favorably, based on everything that's been brought out and said.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, I hear a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Debbie second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay, any more discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we have waited to the council. All right. We're going through the, forms, Miss Amanda.
This is a housekeeping item for your, Form 3, your certificate of approval of utility systems, removing the words septic tanks, which do not fall under the purview of the Water Authority of Dixon County. So it's simply removing the words septic tanks. It's an amendment to the subdivision regulations. You just had your public hearing, so this stays here. Does not go up to the town council.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
I have a motion to approve the resolution. Hear a second.
Second.
And a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Move that on to consider the ordinance, the review of the zoning ordinance, Article 2. Mr. Andrews.
Mr. Chairman, as we talked about on Thursday, this is back before y'all. The town council earlier this month voted to approve this ordinance that y'all sent up last month, but with a couple of changes, changing the density in R1 from 1 unit per acre to 1.5, changing the density in R3 from 5 to 6, and then slightly enlarging the front setbacks in R2 and R3 to 25 feet. Because those were substantive changes, this body needs to weigh in and either recommend favorably or unfavorably, and it will go to council for second reading in September.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on that one? Do I hear a motion one way or the other?
I'm gonna make a motion to send back to the council favorably.
All right, I have a motion, I hear a second.
Second.
And a second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, looks like it'll be sent to the town council. Anything else we didn't have on the list, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. Here's a second.
Second.
All right, here we go.
We all say aye.
All right.